The Mounts of Mayhem drop is now finished with 4.5 new rideable mounts, 3.5 of which are just variants of existing ones, which raises the question, why does Jeb love mob variants so much? He's teased this everywhere, but he actually responded to a lot of questions recently, and one of them was directly about his 2020 quote, where he said he would try to avoid adding mob variants to the game, and so his response was that he actually didn't understand the context. If you don't either, this is when he said it.
We try to avoid adding different variations of existing mobs. We want to create unique ones.
This seems a lot like the opposite of adding an undead version of the camel and 3 versions of the same mob, but Jeb has an insightful response because he says, "Thank you, I think my answer to that question is still fairly correct. However, there's always a grey scale to decisions depending on who leads the initiative, what time they have, and what the goals are. The camel husk is also intended to show that 2 people can ride on it, so it's multi-purpose." In other words, he thinks the camel husk is great because unlike the regular camel, you're actually going to see that 2 people can ride, allowing new players to realize that maybe they could ride 2 at a time, and then ultimately conceding that when you have a shorter timescale, like they do for drops, it makes sense to use that time to make features that are more impactful, and judging by the number of people, like Jabot here, who says the past 4 drops have been the best updates since Minecraft release, the number of people saying stuff like that is proof that clearly it is working out, at least for the audience that are receiving these. Speaking of the audience, hello, I'm ABX Toycat, this is Q&A Saturday, the weekly series where I answer questions from my audience about all sorts of things, and to date, lots of these responses are going to come directly from Jeb, and so if you're curious as to how this fun image of the skeleton jockeys getting together is going to come up, it is something Jeb directly responded to, and it comes up from this comment of Big Bad Cuff, who says their theory as to why 1.22 hasn't been a thing yet is they've noticed how many under the hood code changes they've been making to Java with each drop they release. Every drop reworks or adds a ton of revisions to the underlying code to make more things data driven and, for example, the code less obfuscated, which is that they want to get through all this work with the code before they finally do a bigger update. An interesting theory that is matched by the Bedrock edition, where add-ons are a huge focus for the team, so much so in fact that even Jeb, who largely talks about the Java version, responded to someone talking about this idea. That's right, there we go, it all ties in together now. This idea of adding the stray jockey, the wither jockey, and the bog jockey, and asks Jeb what he thinks about these. Are they good ideas? And Jeb says that yeah, these look really cool, but you know, you should probably create them as add-ons if you haven't already, kind of showing that yeah, the add-on system is what Jeb believes is the widely accessible part of modding into Minecraft, which is something very interesting and a part of why every update that comes out has such a heavy add-on contingency. Speaking of updates that come out, you might not realize this, but thanks to the new Minecraft GDK version, Minecraft Bedrock will actually force you to update before you can play. Every update that comes out for Minecraft Windows after 1.21.120 is now mandatory, and what's funny is 1.21.121, more seriously, but the update that just came out is entirely mandatory, and I assumed that it fixed the memory leak because it was a emergency bug fix that came out after Minecraft became borderline unplayable, but fun fact, no it didn't. Even after 1.21.121, I turned on improved input response, and I ended up having 47.6 gigabytes of RAM being used by Minecraft Windows, which is just a ludicrous amount. You never expect to have memory be your limiting factor, but when it comes to Minecraft Bedrock, if you play on the PC, turn off improved input response, and yeah, in case you're curious, no, they haven't fixed that, they haven't indicated when they want to fix that, and even crazier, they haven't fixed the fact that you need to uninstall it for some platforms, and they haven't fixed the migration, having issues for many people, and even worse, the update that should have fixed those things actually caused huge issues with the mouse not being locked to the center. Here you can see Echo has the problem, It's Me James has the problem, and so does Phoenix. Minecraft Windows has a lot of issues, and hopefully they fix them before the holiday drop, because these are very serious and should have been addressed immediately. It's shocking that they haven't been already. Speaking of the holiday, speaking of holiday sales, how could wait, he did my speaking of thing for me. Anyway, how come you've stopped pitching your marketplace add-ons that you've partnered with people? This is someone asking why I don't nakedly advertise my add-ons more. So here's a fun reminder, IBX Time Maps is a marketplace team that's existed since 2020. We've only published 7 pieces of content in that time because, unlike a lot of teams have published hundreds or thousands, I want to make sure that everything we put out is unique and interesting in some way, and so off these 2 are add-ons, and yeah, I don't talk about these because I usually try to wait till there's an update. I don't just nakedly say, hey, here's something you probably heard about before, would you like to know about it now? But fun fact, even though we've released 7 different things, off those, it's actually 3 that get basically all of the downloads. The Let's Play world, obviously, fun fact, getting getting an update next week. Obviously, Boss Blitz as the first big add-on is very popular too, but interestingly, Ultra Flat Survival gets a lot of downloads, and it's intriguing to me because a lot of people are really worried about AI taking their jobs, right? Like, oh, one day AI is going to get so smart and it'll do exactly what I do. But Ultra Flat Survival is just what Super Flat Survival in Minecraft should be, and so my entire income from that map could be replaced if Minecraft just upped their game in Super Flat and made it work correctly. And yeah, it's funny that that has not happened in all of the last 3 years. So it seems as though the revenue for Ultra Flat is safe. If you'd like to add to that revenue, feel free to download Ultra Flat. It did get an update recently, and it is the best way to play Super Flat in Minecraft console, Bedrock, and any other edition that isn't Java, sorry. But what's interesting is the fact that, yes, this is something that Minecraft are working on, the add-ons and the marketplace pipeline. But what's interesting also is the fact that Jeb responded to something interesting, because I've been having so many comments asking about when is C418 coming back for the soundtrack. But what's interesting is Jeb responded to someone asking if C418 would get to make more music for Minecraft, and he said that would be awesome. Now, to be fair, this isn't him saying it's going to happen. In fact, it's probably him saying, yes, we really want C418 to make music, but sadly, we can't get to a commercial deal on terms of him. But I love to know that both C418 and Minecraft do love each other. It's just that they can't get that deal across the line, which is both sad and also entirely understandable, as we've spoken about before. Speaking of speaking about things before, Winslow the Cat says, the seed input is case sensitive, do it again with capital letters. This is in response to my reviewing every single one-letter seed for Minecraft, and honestly, this is very tempting, but I will save my next Seed Sunday that we'll do in a long-form format. I'm thinking of doing an even more interesting idea, and maybe a bit of a silly one, that comes from the 2cat inside of me, if that gives you a hint. But for now, let me tell you, I had lots of other comments I received this week. Some of them are absolutely wild, and just a reminder, I get thousands of comments, and some of them are really weird. Now, I would say bad for my mental health, but really bad for the mental health of anyone who reads it. But it's really easy to group comments like that, or even this one that says Jeb's little green book is probably the evilest design document, and say like, oh yeah, these people are just bad or something. But I think that it's really easy to just have this big anger and really put it in the wrong direction. And so I'm going to try and take this one and say, yeah, do you think the little green book is the most evil design document? Did you read it and think, wow, this is terrible? Well, you weren't actually meant to read it. Cameron from the MC Ideas Academy actually directly asked Jeb about how he feels about the book being leaked online. Since it wasn't widely published, he got the impression it was supposed to be a secret, but also was available in a few public libraries. And Jeb clarified it was written for internal use only, and he knew there was a risk it would be leaked, so he wasn't stressed about it, but it leaked because of the printing company sharing a copy according to Swedish law. So if you're like me and you've always been curious as to why it was that Jeb decided to share this, why they didn't just say, oh yeah, it's a game design document and not a book, it's because the people that Jeb hired to make the book and distribute it to their employees decided that they needed to follow the law, and so they put it in the library where it later got scanned onto the archive and where now we can read it. But keep in mind that because this leaked in that way, it was never meant to be for external use. I think it's an absolutely beautiful booklet for a what is effectively a memo at a company, and it's a really great way to communicate Jeb's goals to team members. Now, what's interesting is Jeb's goals that he would communicate to the people working at Mojang probably are different to the goals that you or I might have, but I would say that it's not an evil game design document. In fact, it's actually a really well considered one. It's just that there are things that maybe the average community member and Jeb disagree about. But like, as we proved earlier in this video, to kind of like sum that up, I think it's worth mentioning that even Jeb and Jeb disagree about whether mob variants make sense, and the only reason that you can reconcile that is to say, well, with the drop cycle, it's better to have more features, and some of those be variants, than to have fewer features. And as Rifted Wolfie says in response to yesterday's video, so Copper wasn't supposed to have tools. Very interesting. It's crazy to see how things change over time. Yes, Copper was meant to not just be an armor set. They spoke so long about how that wouldn't be a good idea, and then presumably they were coming up with ideas for what would be a killer game drop, one to really reinvigorate the community, and they went, people would love Copper tools, and it would be easy, why don't we make a Copper tool drop? And they added what was technically 90 features inside of that drop, and people have gone crazy for it. The idea of, whoa, it's the stuff in the ground, but you make your armor outfit. You can be orange, and you don't even need to use orange type. People have gone absolutely wild for that, and you might say, yeah, well, that's just MFs being lazy, like Artillery LMC says, but I would say, Sorry, what I would say is that Mojang are just trying to keep up the realities of running a game company with what is effectively a live service game and trying to do that in a way that actually makes people happy, and the once-a-year update was objectively the best way to take one solid area of the game and massively bring it up to scratch, but now we're seeing that there is a huge resentment around updating certain things. The age of nostalgia is here for Minecraft, and so the easiest way to not combat that nostalgia but instead add to it is have entirely new features that don't really have to interact with the rest of the game. We're seeing this with the Mounts of Mayhem. If you want to enjoy your horses, you can. They'll swim now, which is nice, but most of the new features are like, oh, it's a zombie horse, or it's a camel, but it's undead. And these are features that don't fundamentally change the game, but keep people very hyped. And so if, like me, you think to yourself like, well, we really need a transport update, like either nerf the Elytra or buff the boat or make some, I think buff the minecart, most people would say. I think that Minecraft needs so many fundamental changing updates, but these all take a lot of time, a lot of consensus, and a lot of testing, whereas you know what doesn't take all of those things? Just having stone tools, but they're orange and have a bit more durability. Just having in the game, like a new type of Nautilus, but it only spawns in the coral biome, and this is an easy way to make Minecraft more approachable and more enjoyable, and so can we hate them for doing it? I don't think so. And so even though as I first read Jeb's comments about the husk and how he said like, oh yeah, I do think that's true, but I've somehow decided that the time constraint is the biggest reason, it seems like on the surface that Jeb is saying, yeah, actually, we didn't have time, so we went against the rules. He's actually just saying that time is one of the many constraints, and life is a series of grayscales. It's not all black and white. And when it comes to Minecraft development, sometimes it's worth being a bit lighter gray, and sometimes it's worth being a bit darker grey. Just like if it's real life and you specifically want people to run you over and so you want to match the pavement, there you go, life lesson for everyone watching. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Please do like it if you did like it, share if you really liked it, and subscribe if you're new around here, because I'm gonna go for a run now. Goodbye.